to the Kyu-te to Chinu, and Kyu-te to Chinu is going to be a tough opponent to go up against. If there's any team to take on Story Overnight, I think they're one of the most fitting ones. They were able to take on Shomona Games and defeat them 3-1, able to take out Kitaino team, who, if you remember, was the team that originally beat Splash 3-0 all the way back in winners round 3. So a beautiful job by them to make it this far. Kyu-te Chinu is going to be a tough opponent for them. And by the same token, we have to take a look at Story Overnight's run. In the winners semifinals, they were able to come away with an upset sweep over Myotonia, who is still alive in the losers bracket. They are currently taking on Dark Horse in losers round 7. But before that, Story Overnight defeating Ninja, who we just saw fall in the tournament. They were able to defeat them 3-2, and they were also able to defeat teams like Neptune as well. So here we go. It's going to be the winners finals, back to a best of 5 format. Let's see who comes out on top. So in terms of weapon compositions here, it looks as though we are going to have a lot of the same stuff we've been seeing. Some of the weapons we have not seen, though, are this regular Dynamo Roller and the Tri-Slosher. So the Tri-Slosher is a weapon I'm a big fan of. It was a huge weapon in the meta at the very onset of Splatoon 1, along with things like the Tenatech, but it has since lost a little bit of favor, most teams opting instead for the NZAP. The NZAP building up that ink armor a little bit more consistently, I believe, but the Tri-Slosher can still be so good. In fact, they're going to pop the ink armor right there. Meltik is trying to advance forward, not able to get the kill, though. That's 2 down, basically for both teams. And it looks like they're going to try and push forward here. Nobody really getting too much ground. They're just trading this zone back and forth.
Absolutely. And I love the pick of the Brella here. I know we've talked about that a lot, but especially here, it is so difficult to get up that side volcano area if you have a Brella over there, because they can block any of the shots, which you need. You need ink to get up there. You can't just move around otherwise. Makes it very difficult. And of course, talked at length about the Ink Storm and what it can do. And I love the fact that we're seeing the Tri-Slosher. I know you talked about it a little bit earlier there, but I feel like we've seen more ink armor today than we have seen in some time.
It feels like it. I mean, the NZAP in the last few tournaments we've watched has been pretty prevalent, but I didn't realize it would be a pick on pretty much every team to have an ink armor. I thought the lure of things like the Stingray and the Splashdown would be even more strong, but right now we're seeing Kyu-te Chinu doing a very good job. It looks like they might close out Game 1 with a victory, and that's what they do here. A very fast Game 1 on Muscle Forge Fitness, and Kyu-te Chinu coming away with a Game 1 win. They're going to put Story Overnight a bit on edge here. They're not used to losing very many games here in this tournament, and they have a bit of recovery to do here, as that Tri-Slosher we were talking about making me proud, getting an 8KA and leading the charge here.
I actually do believe that was Story Over that got that
my
right
bad.
there.
I was looking at the layout here.
That's all right. No, I understand completely, but Chinu has Chinu at the end of all names there, as you can see there. So that's one easy way to remember it. But yeah, the Tri-Slosher coming up big. It's still a fine weapon. You know, it always surprised me just how quickly the Tri-Slosher got dropped. And I understand that the sloshing machine is a very strong weapon, and if you're going to use a bucket, why not use the strongest bucket? But the Tri-Slosher is still a very strong pick and a very good situational sub-in. So, very good to see it there, like you said, making you proud. And I think we're going to see, as I don't know if that was a short disconnect there, if it was a sub. I know there wasn't anything during the game itself, but it looks like Chinu is going to do just a bit here, maybe take a second. Like you said, a very quick game, and you said Story Overnight is not used to losing games. That was pretty obvious there, I would say.
Yeah, Story Overnight, I think a little bit overwhelmed here as we see Rainmaker on Port Mackerel come up next. Again, this can be such a fast map mode combination. You really do have to worry about those pushes making it into your 2 hallways near the spawn, because once it gets there, it can be very difficult for the opposing team to make it to that same location. Usually we only see one team make it that far. You really have to have a ton of map control and a ton of map presence going forward in order to make it into that 40s, 30s, and 20s mark here. So we'll have to see if any team can do that, I think both teams are going to allocate themselves with at least one Stingray. We see one there in the form of the Sloshing Machine, and the double Stingray comp coming out once again from Story Overnight this time. Kyu to Chi Nu is going to rely once again on that Splattershot Junior. Two of them running Object Shredder as well, so they're just going to be blazing through this Rainmaker shield and trying to build up that Ink Armor as well in the case of the Splattershot Junior.
And here we see once again Roller. This has been like you said, the Splattershot Junior going as much as possible. And that was a huge kill. That kill had to a full white, but the Rainmaker, if it had gotten past that, those points start to fly off the board here. So a nice shot there from Kyu to Chi Nu there to try to get something going there at the start, and did indeed get something. You see the Roller coming around again, just barely missing another shot on one of the Sloshing Machines. And I don't know if you looked very closely there at the very beginning of the game. One of those Sloshing Machines is wearing double mains of special power-up. So that's not just any old Stingray. That is a super Stingray, and it's really interesting to see how they've done that. We saw that earlier with Team Olive, one of the Sloshing Machines being focused on special power, or on special Saber Up and special Charge Up, and it seems to be the way that teams are running it, is one Sloshing Machine goes for kills, one Sloshing Machine goes for specials. It's really interesting here, and just shows the versatility of the Sloshing Machine.
Beautiful play there by Story Overnight to get the exact point number that they needed in order to gain the lead. A lot of foresight there shown by Melticus as they were able to get over that sponge and make it there. They actually get even more points. They're getting all the way into the 30s by crawling into that hallway with the Rainmaker, and now the Stingray is going to come out. A lot of the members of Kyu to Chi Nu are locked in their spawn. At least the Stingray can put the Rainmaker shield to rest here, as the Rainmaker now sits at the 31 mark. So slow gains being made over and over again by Story Overnight, but they're doing their job, keeping the Rainmaker in the Kyu to Chi Nu spawn, and it's going to be a tough journey for them going forward, as now they finally get a little bit of map control back. I think most of the members of Story Overnight going back to their spawn, having to build up their specials all over again, and again, with this double Stingray comp, Story Overnight really has to rely on having a bunch of map control, so we may see the tide shift pretty dramatically in favor of Kyu to Chi Nu.
And one thing that I have to point out there, the Roller for Kyu to Chi Nu there just went in too early, I would say, in that situation. They were getting back map control. They had to chill up as a team, but rushed in probably a little bit haphazardly and got just pincered by two different people who were coming out of the respawn, probably wondering what somebody was doing there. And because of that, that was their big front line, their big killer there. They got taken out, as we see that same killer get the kill right there. But that was a good-looking push, and Kyu to Chi Nu does have the power to take map back very, very quickly. Their comp very much tooled for taking back map. So that's something that can certainly be done, but they have to stay alive to do so. And with a double Tri-Slosher comp, you know that you're going to be outslayed if you don't have map control. So they got to be just a little bit more careful, as we see another push here. Unlike last games where we saw big pushes go for big pushes the entire time, big numbers, it looks like now it's just that slow sequential push that you were talking about, killing time, forcing them back, and it's really good on a map like this too, I must say.
The Stingrays just consistently repeating over and over again. It's like they almost never leave the map here. I thought they were actually going to crush that Brella. I thought they were going to keep rolling on the ground. I was hoping they would, but unfortunately they lifted their shot, and it's going to be their downfall. Nice direct there with the Sloshing Machine. That's going to help them get a kill on that member of Kyu to Chi Nu. They are able to dodge out of the way that Rainmaker shot and get the kill on them, building up the Stingray in the process. And that really is the main MO of the Sloshing Machine, is to get a kill or two, back off when you have that Stingray built up, defend the objective with your special, and really, when you bring two of those into the mix, if they're both doing their job, there's not much they can do about it. So Story Overbook there, really making good use of the comp that they've brought with them, even extending their lead further now to 22, as Kyu to Chi Nu is having to back off and try and somehow deal with this Ink Storm that's been brought up. Another gain of the Rainmaker, not going to get any points on it, but again, you're just killing time, distracting them, not letting the Rainmaker reset either. There's not really a place to jump off on this map. There's no water, there's no endless void to go into, so you're basically locked into this map here, and you have to make it all the way from your side of spawn all the way over to your opponent's two hallways in a very, very short amount of time. You're
seeing the map go back pretty quickly. They've done a good job here of taking map, but now This is what it's all about right here. With all three of them bunched there at the top of your screen, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to get any of them. If they're able to get 2 or 3, they could make a push here, but they do get 1 here. They almost get 2. The Brella's right near the Rainmaker. They've got to do something about the Brella does go down. 1 jumps in. The Stingray coming in. They may have boxed themselves in too much, and they did. The Stingray going to get the kills necessary to end it right there. That is the threat of the double Sloshing Machine comp, and that's why they needed to get those kills as quickly as they did, or should have, rather. That's why it needed to happen, because the longer you let one live, the closer it's going to be to Stingray. And when you have to take it down a long, narrow pathway like that, you just know if one comes out, there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it.
And the KAs for both teams were really pretty evenly split there. We didn't see anybody go, I think, less than 8 or more than 12. So it wasn't really an aggressive game between these two teams. We didn't see anything ludicrous in terms of how much they got kills. But we did see Asriel, I believe it was, get 6 Inkstorms off with that Splat Brella. That's just going to provide so much map control that it can be tough for a team like Q&A that brought in weapons that were possibly not equipped well enough to deal with the comp that was brought in by Story Overnight. So as we move on now to game number 3, Tower Control on Sturgeon Shipyard, I think many of the same weapons are going to be brought in. Sloshing Machine can still be very, very good on this map and mode combination. Blasters are also going to be placed emphasis on. And then the Splat Brella, because for the Inkstorm, placing it over near the tower can be such a crucial way to get the enemy to back off. And that's really what the name of the game is in this current meta, is bring specials with you that can defeat anyone who's on the tower, that can make them run scared and run into your team and die. So really, I would expect to see a lot of splashdown, a lot of Inkstorm, maybe Ink Armor if they decide that they need the extra defense, but both of these teams really haven't needed to worry about that too much. It's been a pretty even back and forth so far, so neither team really needs that advantage. I would say more so they need specials that can either get a kill quick, like the Splashdown, or that can do a lot of work from any range, which includes the Stingray or the Inkstorm.
I agree, and one thing that we're going to have to keep note of here, the tower moves in a really, really open position once it hits that first checkpoint. Once you get there, that is a very difficult checkpoint to move past. You almost need to have 3 or 4 down in order to move past that reliably. You can see it right here on your screen. On the top right side there, you see that little grating. Any sort of ranged weapon, any sloshing machine, any blaster, anything along those lines can get the kills from there. It looks like both of these teams are going to rely on their Tri-Sloshers those sloshing machines. You can tell what's on my mind, right? The Tri-Slosher's back.
And, I mean, I love the Tri-Slosher. It's, like I mentioned, my favorite weapon, so I'm with you. I wish they brought in 3 Tri-Sloshers. That would be, not only would it be like the original meta we saw in Splatoon 1, but it would just be some darn good fun, especially now that it's a little more mitigatable, if that's even a word. But we push forward here as Q&A as only 2 members remaining. However, both of those members with their specials at the ready. So the Sloshing Machine, I'll be interested to see if they back off and decide to use their special here. Asriel sticking with that Splat Brella, and why wouldn't they? They were able to lead their team last game and also build up 6 different Ink Storm specials, which they are going to try to use there, but they're not going to get it off as the Stingray will take them down. However, in the meantime, their team continuing to push forward here as Story Overnight is looking for their 3rd win in a row. Q&A finally getting on the tower there, and map control pretty evenly split. It's been a pretty even game so far. There really also hasn't been enough time for anything to get too well established, so I'll be interested to see how these duels, these 1v1s end up working out, because that's going to differentiate these two teams.
And I'm going to be honest here, in terms of being tooled for those 1v1s that you're talking about, I have to favor the sloshing machine comp here. So much killing power, and they've shown their accuracy. Look at that. Incredible arching of the shots here. They're both going to converge on someone over there in the corner. Spots one out there. Another one. That's a Luna. The Luna's supposed to be able to win those. And another one. This is the power of the sloshing machine. This is what you do here. This has been moving past all this while. The tower has been just kind of lazily sauntering along. It's Asriel on the tower, and with the Brella, you know it's going all the way. And what a dominating display there by Story Overnight.
We love talking about the sloshing machine, but it really is true that it is just so potent at all range extremes. Look at the map control as well. Just so much in favor of Story Overnight. Nothing that Kyu ate to chi nu could do to get out there. Held to a maximum of a 4 KA. Meanwhile, they will get a total or a high of 9 KA there as Story Overnight secures their third and final necessary win to make it into grand finals. So a sweep once again for Story Overnight. That's 2 in a row for them as they sweep through in the winners semis and the winners finals. They have a long bit of a wait here as the losers bracket still has a good amount to get through, but a very deadly challenge awaits whichever team is able to make it out of the losers bracket. Will it be, once again, Kyu ate to chi nu who gets a chance at some redemption here, or will it be one of the 2 other remaining teams, that being 2000 and Myotonia? I don't believe we've gotten to see Myotonia play, but 2000 we have gotten to see. They've dethroned a couple of very, very strong teams, including Ninja. Let's see who comes out of it alive.